Welcome back to the channel, everyone. You see, we've got the front all welded up and painted. We're waiting on ball joints and some other things to come in so we can get that together. Now we've got to break down the rear and then get the truss on it and get it cleaned up. Alright, so follow along to get this one broke down. Obviously the breakdown is not as complicated as the front. As always, we appreciate you subscribing. Love any comments you guys have. Alright, let's get it broke down. And just like on the other side, these little drip pans are cheap. They're like $5. They make a great bolt bin. Alright, so it's a 13 bolt, and then there's the nut that it screws into, 17mm wrench, take off the calipers. I'm just using a breaker bar with that ratcheting attachment. So you can tell he just had these, he had just changed brakes before I got it. And obviously the shoes are wasted. But the rotors, I'll just have those turned. They're really nice cross-drilled rotors, so we'll definitely reuse those. And you get the main bracket off. That's an 18mm. You may have to brace this axle in order to pop these things free. Well, it came off. Surprising. Now if you got a really nice impact, it'll work here as well. And you can tell when they worked on, they put Antiseize on it, so thank you for
small
that.
section that got overexposed. I still think it shows how to break this thing down, so please bear with it.
And if you're new to working on stuff like this, whether you use the silver Antiseize or the bronze Antiseize, please use it, because you never know when to trail when you got to take this stuff apart. Okay, on the front there's that T30 torch that you got to take off to get your drum slash rotor off. And remember, underneath this is where your emergency brakes are at. So you ever wonder where your emergency brakes are at? They're actually in the drum section. Yeah, I think he's pulled these axles before. Cause that bolt spray a little PP blaster on it. Now since this is a Dana 44, I don't have to take any clips off on the inside or anything. Now in the bracket itself, there's a cutout there, so you can get a socket in there. You might need a very short extension for that. Okay, there's the last nut for the retainer. Now I've got the drip pan under it because, well, I haven't drained the oil yet. So we can try the old drum trick here, see if it'll just break the bearing free. Taps on the back here. Okay, I'm going to take off the rotor. obviously to drain the housing. Now obviously make sure that your sensor is unplugged. Now that's obviously something I didn't want to see right there. I didn't want to see that the splines have been twisted. So now I got to make a decision whether or not I want to replace these axles or not. Here we go. Alright, so this one's not twisted quite as bad. The primary reason to take that cover off is I wanted to inspect the gears in it. The gears look pretty good, but I also want to take out the plug for the e-locker as well. Now what I did on the fronts, I'll do on the rear, is I took a small section of plumber's mat that you use when you braze copper pipes. So I unplugged this and then stuffed that in there. Alright, to take this plug out, typical 10mm, you got to pop this out. And when you pull that out, you'll see the typical little red tab. Well, that's nice. The red tab was never even engaged. So you'll just take it, you'll press it down, and then unplug it. Blade of a screwdriver. Yeah, make sure that when you're doing this, that when you put this back in, that you push this little red tab back in. That's what keeps it from coming undone. And I'm gonna use the same. So this is that little mat that you buy when you're gonna sweat in copper pipes. I just cut a small piece off of it, and we're gonna stuff that in there. That way, I didn't want paper towels or anything in there, so that while I'm welding around these areas, I don't light it on fire. Got this Artec truss we got to get welded on. We've got the underside of it all painted with high temp paint. We got to get the surfaces prepped on that. Get the housing down to bare metal where we got to weld. So on this side, I can make the race turn, but there's a little bit of rust here on the very end, and for some reason there's you can feel that there's your fingernail, a mark on the top here which has been peened over. So just on the edge, take that off. And take this rust off here as well. Alright, I'm just going to take a bolt and a vice grip and see if I can just get it to come out the rest of the way. Here it comes. See, it's really not stuck in there very hard. So I'm not using a slide hammer, I'm just something to grab that very edge. Alright, so some people want to know why I'm wearing all the garb for the wire brushing. Let me show you why. So I don't know how well the camera shows it, but all these strands of wire that's in the jacket, I really don't want these in my face, in my eyes, in my gut. So that's the reason why we wear all this stuff. Alright, so let's get it cleaned up so we can paint it. Alright, so we gave it a couple coats of nice black paint to match to what we did on the front. I think it came out pretty good. Now this is not quite as shiny as the other stuff was, which I'm kind of actually happy about. So that was breaking down a Dana 44 rear axle out of a JL Rubicon. Now as you've seen, we had one twisted axle shaft, so those are on order, and those will be coming in soon, and we'll put a video together with getting everything back together. But I thought everybody would like to know if you have to pull your axle shafts. It's something you could easily do in a trail or something like that, but unfortunately, like a full float rear end, you pull your axle shaft out, unless you got something else to go back in, you're stuck. So follow along on the build as we get the axles back together, get these things put up under that sport. So if you like this kind of stuff, continue to follow along with the channel. And until then, whether it's in a garage, in a trail, or on a show somewhere, please remember to like, subscribe, and share, and leave me some comments. I'd love to have maybe a little QA or something with everybody. Till then, this is Jeepingmo.